It is Sunday, which means it is time for Sunday Night Teacher Talk. I am CJ Reynolds, brought to you. I'm here with my with co-host energy.
What does that mean?
I don't know. How isn't it? It's always kind of incredible that you're on camera with me now, and that like this is not. You were so like you were like I don't even want to read the questions at one point, and now look at you.
I know.
You're a star.
I'm not going to say that wasn't slowly coerced me into this position.
It's that public school energy right there. When you bring someone in, they're like, "Hey, do you think you could just sell tickets at the event tonight?" And then next thing you know,
5 more jobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you do concessions too? Could you bake something for concessions? Could you run the halftime entertainment? That's how it works in public school. You have to be strong and know that those questions are coming, and then figure out how to say no to them. There's a whole video on YouTube about that. Anyway, look, gang, I'm so glad that you're here. This is it's been such busy weeks that it is really making me think about, like, I was listening to Myron Golden the other day, and he has this concept that I'm going to start talking about in my talks when I give talks at schools. It's like, be, do, have.
Oh, yes.
So everybody wants to have stuff, right? Like, we either want to have material things, or you want to have a great relationship with someone, you want to have great kids, you want to have a great classroom, but you need to first start with being, right? Who are you being? And then what are you doing? And then that just leads to having. If you gun for the have, I just want to have a great classroom, you're never going to get there. You have to be the person. This is why I'm talking about this all the time. Like, it's a concept of like being who you're called to be, so you can do the work. And then you just don't have to try to have a good classroom. It just happens, right? You don't try to have a great relationship with your spouse or your significant other. Like, it is
the byproduct of it.
It is a byproduct, yes. And so it's that sort of concept, and really thinking about this next 2 weeks. I mean, I go from Friday, like I have work all week to do. You know, my kids are on spring break, all week stuff going on. Then, and we don't even usually work on Saturdays, but like we worked all day yesterday on stuff. Then it's fly out to California on Friday, which if you're looking to come, right, we still have tickets available. We're now going to do 6 episodes instead of 5 episodes on next Saturday and Sunday. We're doing 3 episodes. So if you want to come to one of them, hit me up and I will get you all the registration information. There are people flying in. So Tracy's coming in from Ohio. Another teacher told me that she's coming in from Virginia. It's bonkers. So with that being said, if you're interested in coming, please let me know. Like, bring your friends, bring your students. It doesn't matter who comes. We just are looking for good energy in the room to make this thing electric. Then I no sooner do I get home than I'm flying back out to Illinois to go do a talk. There's just stuff, but I can feel
so much going on
over the last few years, God, especially 12 months, God really working on me to become the person who can do the things, and then the have is just like whatever shows up. So that's a lot about what I'm thinking about.
Be, do, have.
Yes. So Ruth is asking, what is the weather like where you are? We live in New Mexico, Ruth. So
it's the most insane weather here I've ever experienced. I thought New Jersey was pretty crazy. Like they can be back and forth and up and down and kind of different each day. But New Mexico really is like ADD spastic in their weather. It can be 20 degrees and then the next day it could be 60 degrees.
Last night it went down to 30. Then it will go up to 75 during the day. The winds have been 50 to 70 mile per hour gusts.
Like, our kids had to come home from school early on Friday because it was so windy.
It's so windy, the dust comes through your window.
Yeah.
There's dust all over the floor, kitchen counters.
No, not dust, dirt.
Yeah.
Dirt. New Mexico dirt, especially if it hasn't rained.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
If it hasn't rained and the ground is like really dry, it definitely, in the high winds, it comes through like window cracks that aren't like completely still. So we have a lot of windows in our kitchen, right? Like my sink looks out to like 4 different windows. And I had to like make sure to put everything away because you would run your hand on it and it was like red New Mexico dirt. It was gross.
Clay loam, I learned.
Is that what it's called?
It's called clay loam. Yes. The
Friday
kids said there was so much dirt in the school on the floor that you could make like a dirt angel on the floor, Marley said.
Well, that was like our back door. Like by our back door also, the same.
There was
the same
side solid, thick coating of dirt.
Just came through the cracks.
Even though there's weather stripping and all that stuff, it's crazy. So yeah, that's what we're living through.
Overall,
right
it's been really nice. Most days are around in their 70s, which is perfect.
Not like we go outside or anything.
Not often.
Inside.
Pick up and drop off kids. It seems about it.
So pale. It's like when I taught in that room with no windows. I did that many years in a row, actually. So cool. Anyway, with that,
so John Lopez.
negative 4 degrees Celsius in Newfoundland.
Is that cold?
I don't know.
I don't really know.
Find out. What is negative 4 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit? Oh yeah, it's 25 degrees.
Oh yeah.
So sorry, we had to do a little calculation there real quick because we don't live that Celsius life.
John Lopez in California says it's a lovely 70. Yes.
It's just California, man. All right, what you got for me? I see a question.
I like California weather. Well, we'll start off with Lopez is asking, if you decide to return to the classroom, what do you think you will bring to it after taking time off?
So one, I am returning. It is confirmed. I just haven't made like a YouTube video about it or anything.
Signed, sealed contract.
With this community, I'll just let you know. So, well, I don't have I haven't signed a contract yet.
You have an intent to.
Yeah, I have an intent to work or whatever. I will be teaching a 10th grade and 11th grade English. It is the first time that I've never taught 9th grade, but that's not off the table. My understanding with the school is that there is, because there's openings all over the place. I was basically told I could teach whatever I want, and then they would, like, they'll build it off of what I want to do. So with that, it's also a much different school than what I come from, John. Like, I come from inner city, co-taught, like high special education needs classrooms. This seems more, in talking to the school, like regular ed, not so heavy on the special education, far more neurotypical. Like, there's just some things there. Kids that come, it's a real mix between like socioeconomic, but tends more to the we have than we don't have kind of a vibe. So that's interesting to me. I think, so some thoughts in going back are, one, if I just start with my classroom, I have been reaching out to businesses like crazy. I don't want a single regular desk in my classroom. So if we're doing this again, I'm going dream studio here. Like, I'm dream classroom. Like, what does this look like? I want it to look more like a WeWork kind of collaborative workspace than it does a traditional classroom. And this, of course, comes with having the means to do that, right? So this is something I can use my social capital with to get potentially. But also, just seeing if folks will be like, oh yeah, you're a teacher? Great, we'd love to just give you this. Tell your district about us. We'll see. Might not work out at all, and I might have to just end up purchasing a bunch of stuff. I have no idea, but I would love to have no desks. I feel like there's a definite sense of excitement around it. And being, even if this isn't well-founded, there's a sense of, do you still have it? And will it work here? Like, was what I was able to, like, when I go back and look at, so we've been doing this thing last day or so, going through our phones and just deleting old pictures.
We're really bad at digital organization.
Oh my gosh.
So like this laptop that y'all see in the video, I download tons of stuff, but I don't ever delete it. So we went through and like cleaned out.
We've just been like
cleaning out our
it's the year of Jubilee here at the Reynolds house. So with that, I see it's really kind of astounding to me. I think I was moving at such a clip at my old school that I rarely looked back. And when I look back, the sheer amount of stuff that we did, from trips to experiences to speakers to insane lesson ideas, there was so much that happened. It's really kind of incredible to me. Do I have the ability to still do that? Can I show up the same way? Like, there's a little bit of nervousness about that, which I think is good, because I think it's going to ultimately push me, because that's what I want. I don't want to teach any regular way. So, and are the kids responsive to that? Are they interested in that? What do parents think about that? There's parents are like really into their kids, like what they're learning and how they're learning, and like, is what I'm doing just going to sound dumb, or is it going to translate in a way where they're down with it?
I think especially in this school, they use so much. They're so reliant on textbooks, and we just read the textbook, answer the question. The way that they do things,
it's a very 1950s model. It's not a 21st century model.
It is. So I think you're going to bring a 21st century teaching. I think you already did that at Boys Latin, but I think you're going to do it tenfold here. I'm really excited. I think you get really nervous with those questions of like, is it going to work here? Can I do what I did before? Do I still have that kind of like touch, right? Like, and I think absolutely 100%. Like, I am very excited for you to kind of get an answer to that question, although I already know the answer is yes. And I know it because people on what we do online reach out all the time and tell us that it works. And so I'm excited for you to kind of like continue what you did at Boys Latin in Philadelphia and amplify it even more if you can. At minimum, you're going to do that stuff, but you're going to, I think, bring even more to your lessons potentially. I'm excited. I'm excited to see your classroom, because we're going to use this, like you said, the social capital that we have to see if we can get some cooler things like financed, where your room at BL was completely like, we did it all.
We built it or rebuilt it. I was like, you
over and over and over again.
You don't want that anymore? Let me make something out of it.
Yeah, which I think is great. And I love that example. But I think it'll be interesting, at least on YouTube, to have both, right? You'll show like,
that also I had years to build that.
Yes, agreed.
Like Seth Godin says, that room had patina in that room.
Yes.
It was so So I'm very curious to see what that's gonna look like.
Aisha said there's a book you may want to read before you start. It's called Teach Your Class Off.
Oh, available on Amazon now.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's move on to some more questions.
To read my own book, brush up.
Julie is asking, I use stations in my classroom and I find it super beneficial working with kids in small groups. What tips do you have for strategically placing kids into small groups for rotation work?
One, I think there's a couple things there. Some classes, I can allow them to pick their own. Other classes, I have to do the picking. Some classes, I can allow some kids to pick their own. Other classes, I have to do, like in same class, I have to do the picking. Fair isn't equal. And so what I'm not trying to do is just let everybody do it. If you've proven to me that you don't have the capability to make a good choice in picking a class, you need to understand that I care about your success more than I care about if you like me. So with that being said, if I see that Bryce can't handle picking his own class, or picking his own group rather, then I'm going to shut it down and I have to tell you where to go. But I want to do that not because you're in trouble, not because I think you're bad, because I think you haven't figured out the boundaries yet, or the decision-making, good decision-making, to be able to put yourself in a place that's going to get you success and help those other people succeed too. So that's some of what I want to look at. Other times, I'm making decisions because I know students better than they know themselves, and they just want to gravitate towards their friends. So if I have something that is like, and this really works, if you do some kind of like if you test your kids in the beginning of the year, it's something I'm looking to do next year. Test your kids in the beginning of the year. You could even do this now as an experiment to see what kind of learner you have. Do you just listen to stuff and you can just regurgitate it and you win? Do you need to see things? Are you more kinesthetic and you love the arts and building things and making stuff? What I do when you have that information, and you can even just sort of get the sense once you get to really know your students, is I'm strategically putting some of those kids together. So this student is extremely organized. Let's put him with this student who's extremely not autistic, I almost said artistic. And I am sort of compiling what that little Avengers or A-team group is going to look like. I am not against switching kids out if necessary early on. I really try to stay away from that because I want kids to learn how to work through stuff. What I find is that working in stations or doing small group work, there is strife that will come up, and kids need to learn. I need to help them facilitate that so they can work through it. Because what ends up happening otherwise is like kids just get mad. Someone decides they're going to do the whole thing. I'm not doing it anymore. You don't even do your part. There's that part as well. So but I find that actually takes some time to help kids learn how to have difficult and uncomfortable conversations so they can do that stuff. But I will say this, I'll end with this. There is so much value in our students doing this that it's something that I believe, and I don't usually make blanket statements, I believe every teacher should do. Because it is, whether you're just entrepreneurs like us, so in that part of my work, I constantly have to work with brands. Some brands are very, very easy to work with. Others are incredibly difficult and have a bunch of people on the team that are just it's not smooth ever for no reason too. And then in school, it's the same thing too, right? Y'all see this, like sometimes you have a great co-teacher, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have a great curriculum instructor and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have great admin that's supportive and sometimes you don't. You have to be able to work with all different kinds of people. That needs to start now. That's not anything they're ever going to learn until they get to college, and then they're just kicked off the high dive of education in that realm and then have to just kind of figure it out. I'd rather teach them that skills now of like how to make friends and influence people, how we navigate in these spaces and places, and not just shutting down when things get hard. So
yes.
Yeah.
I love it. It's the soft skills. I think that's so important in school.
People that are watching this might be asking, is Reynolds drinking out of a winter mug? Yes, because the dishwasher was running and there weren't any other coffee cups available.
Maybe because I was like, I just don't want to. And I just didn't do any dishes yesterday. No. So today was like, oh man, we're really running out of dishes.
So we'll rather last night watch more episodes of 1923 than do dishes.
Yes. You know,
even though back in 1923,
there was no taking a day off.
You'd have been in that kitchen. Mm-hmm. And I'd have been taking care of the livestock.
I'm always in the kitchen still. All right, Dewey Down.
We don't have any livestock, so no. I get off scot-free. Go ahead.
Dewey Down saying, this question is for the lovely Mrs. Reynolds. Oh. Thank you. He says, first of all, I love having you in front of the camera. Your full presence makes this show stronger. Thank you. What changed that made you decide to come up front? Well, I wouldn't say that I decided. I would say that my husband kind of just, from the start of our show, like I was on the side and I didn't want to even have my voice be heard at all. And then it was like, just read me the questions because I can't multitask, but you can stay off camera. And it was like, okay, I can do that.
And with dyslexia, anyone that hears me read aloud, it's never smooth.
It's not. You're not a very smooth read alouder person.
I'm smooth, but not that kind of smooth.
Brother. I think how did I get to you asked me and I obviously said yes. He doesn't force me to do anything, but I just think it was a natural progression.
It was kind of a joke. It was a not so secret wife. That was real. That was a real title, but it was just kind of funny. And I think when we started to rebrand and like reset up the studio and all that stuff, it just made sense to have us both on there. and you started talking more.
Well,
So
I couldn't not, yes.
Especially when it comes to special education.
I'm opinionated.
Especially in certain, like even now, right? Like I usually answer the questions, but then there's certain ones that you have a unique perspective. And I remember one time, and I don't remember what the question was, but I remember it was Steph Shook asking about a question that had to do with being a mom and being a teacher. And I had to answer, but yours was so much better because you are in those shoes, literally.
Yeah.
I
Mine is being the teacher. Yeah, I think some of that. Like, just I'm opinionated with special education. I think if you look at the stats of teachers, it is a predominantly female role. So when it comes to, you have females that are on here even asking, and a lot of men gravitate towards your YouTube channel because you're a man, right? And it's underserved in that capacity. But there are still women, obviously, that watch this, and when those questions of like, how do I do work and be a mom and all of those things, like I can uniquely kind of chime in on the mom part specifically, not the teacher part, but the mom role. And then as I became a homeschool mom, like that kind of like brought a little bit more context as well. So yeah, that's kind of like the trajectory of how I got here. But I certainly wasn't comfortable with it when I first. Being on camera is weird. Seeing yourself is weird. Listening to your voice. I don't even listen to episodes back because I don't want to hear my voice. It sounds weird to me. So if CJ makes clips, I'm like, oh gosh, like if I have to walk by, or I skip those, stuff like that. And you just don't know. Being on the internet opens yourself up to cruelty too, and I'm really sensitive to that sort of stuff.
When we started, a couple people had some negative comments, and
they did. It really rocked me, and I thought I'd really look at it critically and think, like, is there any validity to what they're saying, or is there not? And there really wasn't. So it's been really good. It's taught me a lot. But thanks for
I just want to affirm something about you real quick. To me, you're really good at putting the mission over yourself. So if you know that this is the work we've been given to do, you are willing to push your feelings aside to do the work that we feel like is what is been given to us to do. And I think there's something to that. And it's really impressive.
All right. You ready for another one?
Plus it was because I was smooth.
Maybe. All right. Gion's asking, I love this question. How do you get more high school students to take pride in their school?
I love this question. So this is one of the things I've been tasked to do next where apparently, and this is not anything I'm saying about the school that I'm going to, like that might sound like it's in sort of a negative context, is certainly not meant to be that.
It's like I just want to say this. It's like any other school. They're great in many areas, but they're missing in other areas.
Remarkable in certain areas. There's a reason I'm going where I'm going. And it's not because I think I can get in there and fix it all. It's because, no, I can see myself work. Like this seems like this is a good fit. And that's what I'm looking for as well. So with that said, one of the things I've been tasked is that apparently in the past, the school has had incredible school spirit, like games, like it is very Friday Night Lights, the way it is explained to me. So if there's a basketball game on Friday night, like the whole school and their parents, like everyone shows up, we're all wearing school t-shirts and rally, right? It's like, it's a whole experience. And now there is, for reasons no one quite understands, if they do like a spirit week, it's a very limited involvement. And, I used to think spirit weeks were kind of silly, but I now really understand it's this idea of like having school spirit, wanting to come to school, creating a space, creating a climate and culture that like kids, they want to have fun. They want to do stuff. They want to be a part of it. They do feel like a family. And I know that working in West Philly, there was a definite brotherhood in my all boys school of that we're in this together. We're helping one another out. And so the school has tasked me with how can we bring that back? And that is something I'm really, really thinking about, is like, how do we create that? I think one is, it is creating events that kids want to be a part of, and then making them happen. So I'll tell you, one of this guy that I used to work with, one time he created video game night where he would set up about, I don't know, 8 to 10 stations in our dining hall at our school. Kids would bring in their Xboxes or PlayStations or Switches. Different teachers would bring in consoles. We'd have them set up around the room, and there'd be like a Street Fighter area, or a Super Smash Bros area, or a 2K, or Madden, or whatever else. You'd have these areas where kids would come in. We had free snacks, and they would play video games for the night. And it gave a place for, it was a melting pot of kids, where it wasn't just, people that could dance, people that were cool, people that were good at like some kind of game night or something like that. This is video games. So you had the quarterback from the football team playing with some kid that no one even knew till tonight, but he crushes at Super Smash Bros. Because that kid hasn't touched grass in like ages. So it was this place that took people out of obscurity. It was super fun. It was a melting pot for everyone. It was just created a safe space on a Friday or Saturday night, so people really wanted to go. It was also a thing that teachers wanted to come to because they all loved video games too. So how are we creating experiences like that for students? The other thing that I think the thing that single-handedly brings people together is either a hatred over something together, which I'm trying to stay away from, but I'm acknowledging that that is one of them, or it's shared experience. So once you've gone on a class trip together, once you have participated in something, once you've survived something. So when I used to take my kids camping back in the day, you now have a thing to talk about. So when you see them in school, it's not just talking about regular whatever nonsense. It's, yo, wasn't that crazy when we had to sleep in that lean-to? Yo, remember when Kevin thought that there was really a bear in the woods, even though we're in New Jersey? Yo, remember when we fell out of the canoe? Yo, that was so crazy. I can't even believe. You're creating experiences for kids to be able to pull from later. And I think that really helps as well. I think the other thing is teachers have to do it too. You have to start with, so for instance, if we want a school spirit week, or everyone's going to dress up, you're allowed to dress up for Halloween, or, whatever else it is, right? When teachers are there and not just active, but excited, it changes things. I'll tell you that my kids recently had a dance for something. Valentine's Day? I don't know, something like that. Yeah. They had a dance. And I showed up. You were there.
I was.
The kids went nuts when I walked into the area where they were having the dance. Like, oh my God, it's Mr. Reynolds running over to me. Everyone wants to show you their outfit, that they wore heels tonight. Look at my dress, look at my shirt. Mr. Reynolds, this is what I was talking about, what I was going to wear. Like all that stuff. They just lit up. It's us showing up excited. Don't just show up as a chaperone. Show up as a willing participant. If you can get out on the dance floor and dance a little bit, if you can, kick it at the DJ station, if you can just be excited and see kids, right? Not just there to police the activities, but to just be excited. Even if you're selling tickets right at the front door, yo, oh snap, here you come. Like, let's get your picture. Like, so glad to see you. Like, I love your outfit. We need to show up with the energy that we want to see our students show up with. And then we need to understand that the transition to students being excited is not going to always be immediate. But how can we do that? One other small shift. They had some kind of pep rally, our kids' school. And this woman who's on the leadership team, she, in an effort to get the high school more engaged, was like, what would I need to do to have you be engaged? And the kid said something like, some kid jokingly says, like, it was all red they were wearing for something.
It was pink. It was for like cancer awareness. Like,
what if we want pink tutus? She said, bet, I'll order them for you. And they were like, what? could we spray paint our hair pink with like colored hairspray? And she was like, I'll order that too. And then they were like, can we get a giant slingshot and we can like slingshot shirts into the crowd? She's like, done. I'll order it today. So I realize not everyone has that capital to be able to do that, but it's
a willingness at least.
Saying yes more to kids.
Yes.
Can we say yes? What would make you excited? And I love that she went on.
Well, it's asking the students, right? A lot of times schools and leadership people are out of touch of what kids really want.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to actually ask the students that.
Yes.
So, Gian, I think it's even asking, like, ask the students, like, hey, what does it take to
what would make this awesome?
Yeah, what would make it awesome? What would to have people excited about school? And I think one of the other small things that you do that I don't know if you realize that you do. So say it's a spirit week and it's a Monday and you dress up and you participate, but Tuesday is crazy sock day. I think it's like talking it up with the students. Oh, tomorrow's crazy sock day, or it's this day. Like, what are you wearing for it? Are you doing it? Are you participating? Like, It's amping them up and letting them know that you're going to, as the educator, that you're going to do it, and that they should do it also. It helps to like entice them to participate.
Let's take a picture. Everyone put one leg in with your crazy sock. Like,
we're all going to take pictures tomorrow with our class with the crazy socks. So make sure you participate.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's like, you kind of have to coax high school students in it. They are a little bit of like, some either just naturally, like our daughter just naturally loves doing all this stuff and she participates in all of it. And so does our son. But I can see how other kids, their friends that I know, that would be a little bit more apathetic to it. So it's like coaxing them in, reminding them that it's okay to be cool, to do this stuff and still be cool. Like, it's fun. It's okay to have fun.
Have you noticed our kids' friends do it more now because our kids are so stoked to do it?
Yes.
Because those are weeks that Marley like comes alive. Like, she
loves
wants to
spirit
go to school.
Yeah.
And then her friends are like, oh, you guys are actually going to do like decade day? Like, all right, well, I'm going to do this. And Mar's like, oh, I'm doing this and this. And they feed off that energy.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's like the teacher has to do that even with their students.
Yes.
Like, I think that is another tactic on how to get them to buy in.
Facts.
But don't forget to ask them too. All right. Flying Kiwi is asking, I'm a student teacher for grade 11 bio. Any general tips on making the most out of this experience? In particular, I'm anxious about taking over the class without stepping on my mentor teacher's toes.
So I think that has to be an expectation that it's maybe a conversation around what I'm looking for in this experience as a student teacher is your feedback and mentorship. I have a vision of the kind of teacher I would like to become, which might not align exactly with who they are, but if our core goal, the both of us, is having students be the most successful that they can be, who cares how you get there? It really doesn't matter as long as you get there. And with, of course, the level of responsibility, like, I don't want to set anyone's hair on fire, but when I think about that, though, I'm kind of setting the stage and then letting them know, like, hey, here's this idea I have, I want to try. I don't think that's stepping on anyone's toes. I think what you're doing is you're moving into who you're fully meant to be. Now, look, I don't know what kind of mentor teacher you have. Sometimes they're really great and they want you to be as good. Like, I felt like my mentor teacher knew that I was a little bit different, wanted me to grow into that version of myself and supported that, even though they did things far more classically than I did. But I've seen other folks have, a cooperating teacher that is not so supportive. That is like, this is dumb. What you're doing is silly. Or it can either, I think what happens is cooperating teachers, they see that they don't have that fire anymore and it makes them feel bad about themselves. I've seen other cooperating teachers who are like, yo, I forgot how fun this could be. Like you're like the student teachers inspiring them. At the end of the day, I'm here for students. So I think that that's the vision. And then try stuff. student teaching is it is, if you're not trying things, and I'm talking about, there's a level of recklessness with this where I'm not trying to get anyone hurt. I'm not trying to be, I understand what I'm allowed to do, right, as a teacher. But when I'm thinking about, like, what are we teaching? Biology, was it?
Mm-hmm. Grade 11.
So grade 11 biology, how can I don't want to read anything. Like, I don't want to just read to you what magnets do, what, things about the cells or animals, or can I show you stuff? Can I show you biology? Can you all be biologists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's be biologists. How would they view this thing? How do I make this come alive? In every step of the way, can I have a hook where, and when I talk about being reckless, what I'm talking about is, like, can I find a critter and bring it in? Can we bring it? Do we have access to a brain? Can we make brains out of Play-Doh? Like, how can we, like, make this so that we are being scientists? I'd say you should check out my friend Becky Schnexer has a book called Expedition Science. It's awesome. She is incredible. She's was a classroom teacher for years, teaching all levels of science. She's worked for Farrell's school in Maryland, knows him. She's goes on trips, sanctioned trips multiple times to either South and Central America, or was she in Antarctica?
Yeah.
Right?
She's always discovered some weird new creature.
She discovers
national,
some kind of river shark or something. I don't know. But and this is all sanctioned by National Geographic. She's one of their National Geographic explorers. Awesome book. But she makes science come alive. And that's what no kid ever got hooked on science. No kid ever got hooked on anything by reading a textbook. Kids get hooked on things by being exposed to them. Look for biologists. Is there a local college that you all can either go to, or have kids have a professor come in and talk about stuff, do something, do an experiment? That's what I'm looking at. So go nuts. That's what I'm saying, and try things, because it's either going to work or it's going to work on you. And those are the two things you need to be looking at.
Yes. I was going to say, like, you have to remember it's new. Teaching takes about 3 years to really become, like, find a rhythm.
So you start finding you can have wins before that, of course, but
so make sure to be kind to yourself and look at it as not a critique to you always, but like, what could I've done better? How would I have tweaked this and, like, gave instructions better, or like all of those sort of things. Like, look at it with a critical eye on, like, how you can be better, not damning yourself. Tristan, I guess in the comments, I think is a science teacher also, he said, labs and activities are key to any science course. So I think that goes right with what you were saying.
And look, as you're pulling up another question, there's a level of classroom management that comes with doing that successfully. I think because folks lack the classroom management, it makes them stop doing things like we talked about earlier, group work, activities, labs, because they can turn into a nightmare. So it's really getting good at classroom management. And yeah, so that's where I would go with that.
Oh, I don't have another question.
That's fine.
Guys, got anything?
That's fine with me.
Do you have anything that was emailed to you?
When I think about that for next year, doing group work and activities and stuff like that, sometimes I wonder, like, have kids been so bored by school that there's not anything, either what you're going to do is going to be super rad and they're going to love it and be, like, hungry for that, or are they like, it's too far gone. Just give us the work.
I know, it's right. So how do you bring, if you have that kind of class, it's too far gone, we're completely apathetic and I don't want to do anything. Like, just give me the assignment and answer out of the textbook. How do you, how do you, how do you change that narrative as a teacher?
I think one, by talking to kids and telling them why you're doing what you're doing. I'm not doing what I'm doing so that you'll think I'm fun, so that you'll like me, so that I'll be your favorite class. I'm doing this because it's a better way for you to learn. It's a more effective way for you to learn. So gamifying things, I think the statistic is like it increases engagement by like 60%. That's huge.
Yeah, that
right?
is huge.
By just gamifying things, that I know that greeting students at my door by name increases on-task behavior by 40%. So I'm not just pulling these things out of nowhere. This is like actual research-based activities that I do. Now, look, I didn't start doing them because of that. I did it because I did it. And then, but it's really looking at why are you doing what you're doing and understanding that it's the benefit is it is better for kids. So you don't want to work in a group. I don't care. It's going to help you. You don't want to, read today. You don't want to retake a test or a quiz. You don't want to, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. If I know that what we're doing is going to help you to be and do so you can have, I'm going to do it. And I don't care what you think about it, because I'm not here to, I want school to be fun, but I don't need it to be fun. I need you to enjoy. But I also realize that things like success does not lead to happiness, but happiness does lead to success. So when you're happy in your work, if you're enjoying class, if you're having fun what you're doing, it far more often leads to you being successful. But I realize that being successful in life, there's tons of folks I know that are successful in their own right, but they are surely not happy. I would argue, though, that fun leads to happiness and happiness leads to success. And so if I can help you to have fun and to feel more joyful in class, then what we're learning, it just happens. I can't tell you how many kids, and I always had a problem with this, but kids would be like, yo, I love Reynolds' class. We don't even do any work in there. Bro, what? Shut your face. We do tons of work in there all the time. You just don't, like, I just snuck it in. Like, you didn't know it was we're Mary Poppins in this thing, right? I just turned Mary Poppins into a verb. But this is the epitome of the spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. You all just thought we were just playing with Legos. You didn't realize we were, working on our spatial awareness. I was surely not going to tell you if I didn't have to.
I love Maisha mentions, she says gamification doesn't have to always be electronic games.
Yes.
Yes, because I feel like one of the bad things that COVID brought out was like everybody does the same electronic games, like
in the same way. Just go on and do a Blook It for 10 minutes, right? And then it's like every class today is doing Blook It or Kahoot or Quizzes or whatever the hell that platform's called. Why do they spell like that? Just trying to mess with my brain. They said, "Oh, you're dyslexic? Try this one, sir." Quizzes.
I don't even know what it is. Okay, Lopez is asking, what will you do that you missed out with your second trip to LA?
So, John, if I have the time, we're
they really are packing them in. I don't know if there's a blessed time to do anything other than
I'm really going to try. I've even considered if I could push my flight back a little bit on Monday to go later. But the two things, if I could get to them. So we're in Sherman Oaks section of Los Angeles, which is where the television studio is. If I could get to Homeboy Industries, right? Father Gregory Boyle, who whenever people say, like, what is your book that you would recommend for new teachers? It is always Father Gregory Boyle. Who started something called Homeboy Industries, which is the largest gang rehabilitation
center
project, in the world, is 20 minutes from where I am. Flip side, Beverly Hills, There is this street artist named Mr. Brainwash, who I have conflicting feelings about, but he has an incredible looking art museum on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills that I would love to go to. Also, that's only 20 minutes from where I am too. So I can either go to the gang rehabilitation or to this. If I could do both of those, that's something that I would want to really do while I'm in LA. John, we're having a meetup too. I'm going to tell you and Tracy. Right by my hotel, there's a cheesecake factory that's just big enough so take away my feelings about the cheesecake factory, but it's big enough that we're going to do a meetup there on Saturday night after we do our first session of recordings. Like, so the first 3 episodes will be at the TV studio, and then we're going to do like a drinks and apps kind of a thing on Saturday night at the Cheesecake Factory in Sherman Oaks. So even if y'all are just can't make it to the show and you're just around, show up to the Cheesecake Factory and you'll see a tall man with billowy white hair standing in the middle of the room.
Oh man, I love cheesecake. I don't really love the Cheesecake Factory as a restaurant, but like, bro.
So I asked where we're
cheesecake.
They're providing dinner or lunch for us and stuff too. I go, hey, do you know where we're going? Are we going to the same place? They're like, why, are you bougie? And I go, no, but I have a lot of dietary restrictions. And they're like, oh, like, do you have like allergies? I go, no, I have a wife that wants me to live to like 200 years old. So someone goes, like, what kind of limitations? I said, we don't even have time, y'all.
You don't even want to know.
Y'all don't.
Which is why you should just go to True Food Restaurant in LA.
Oh yeah, let's go to your 3-person hipster restaurant. We're gonna all fill in. People will be like,
it's huge. They have tons of places.
The average person is not going. They're going to go in there and be like, "Nah, Rounds, we're going to Chick-fil-A."
I know.
Sorry. I'm out here. They didn't even know they were like seed oils. What? And I'm like, listen, y'all, don't even get me started.
I love health.
I said, I don't do it because I want to.
And
I do it because my wife wants me to live a long time.
Well, I just want to be fair. Like, we feel amazing not eating like the typical, like with our diet change. I'll just say that with our food change, it has made us feel incredible. Do you not think so?
You're right. But
I don't know. I had a whole lot of inflammation before I ate like this. And now that I eat like this, I have no inflammation anywhere. I
also I'm almost at my high school weight at this point too.
Yeah, we're all a lot thinner. But we eat a lot less. All right. Anyway, Diana.
I wish I knew how much I weighed in high school. Anyway, this isn't important. No one cares. What's Diana saying?
Diana's asking, how can I help my students to pay more attention to the tasks on a test? They make a lot of errors, not because they don't understand the content, but because they rush or don't read everything.
So I think it's practicing test taking, which is quite different than teaching to the test.
Yes.
I think that students have to learn how to do test taking.
I do think part of it can just be explaining to students that like test questions are written specifically to kind of like trick you.
They're not always. So if you're,
in my experience,
well,
it's always
they are, but like on SAT or ACT, they are written a very specific way. There's a science to looking at some of those questions, right? But the average teacher might just be shooting from the hip, and we're going to pick 4 questions or 4 answers in this multiple choice. I think it's explaining it and then doing that in small batches all the time in class. So if you have a close reading section, it can't just show up on your tests. You have to have close reading all the time. That you're constantly exercising that muscle. I think what we do when I do independent reading is sometimes you read for grit. Even when we're doing we're reading as a group together, reading as a group together, and then letting kids know, I can feel we're at capacity right now. We're reading for grit today. We're going 5 to 10 minutes more because I need you to get used to pushing through that next part. Because research also shows that kids that read the full reading selection, they just do better on the questions. But what our students do often is read the first paragraph, say, screw this, it's too boring, or I'm not interested, or I don't want to do all this. They jump to the questions and they try and go back and find their answer. But that only works if they're questions that are purely like, what did it say about this? But if you have to infer, now you're screwed because you had to read the selection so you can make it inference. You can't. This isn't just like comprehension questions. So I find that it's mirroring some of these aspects in our class regularly. So what can that look like? More regular quizzes that are very short and doable. More close reading activities that we're doing together, that we're teaching. We're constantly running the inference play so that kids get used to doing it. So it's not something they feel like they can't do. It's something you've done a ton of times, and now when the test comes, you're ready for it. That's what I'm doing. And then I think if people are running, if they're writing, so what we tried to do is all of our high school mirrored every test off of things you'd see on the SAT, ACT, so that kids were used to the logic behind how questions were asked. It also allows you to get rid of things that are stupid. Like, and I'm just going to say that, like true or false. I can't stand true or false questions. It is just trying to, because they try to trick kids. And with kids that overthink things like I am, it's like I can see logic in both of these. But here's why. I also did things like, I forgot I used to do this.
I love true and false when I was a student.
You know, you weren't a good student either. So it's
there might be some truth to that.
Well, this is easy. I can figure this one out. It is allowing kids to not just have to pick from the multiple choice, because that's sometimes they get frustrated and they just pick one.
Yeah.
Write in your answer. If you have an answer that you can see is different than these, just write it on the side, and we'll have that conversation. And that I would do that a lot of times with students too.
Marcus said I started doing game shows as the repetition lessons before tests. Complete game changer. The amount of people that didn't pass the test went down significantly, instantly. What I think is, I was smiling at as you were talking in the comments, you can see Maisha said, oh dang, I have to find it.
Only people of certain age will.
Yeah, where was it? What did she say?
Oh no, not that.
Do you have a Botany 500 sports jacket and a thin microphone?
Oh.
Who's she referring to?
Oh, Bob Barker.
Yeah, okay.
I am of a certain age.
Yes, I got that one too.
You did not have a sick day as a child and not watch Price is Right. And many hours of Gilligan's Island.
It was like the sick day TV package.
So we do this thing I do this thing in the summer where I make my kids watch old television shows, and then they have to do a podcast episode about it that never comes out anywhere.
It's just for us.
But the podcast is called Our Dad Made Us Watch This. And it's really funny because they think Gilligan's Island, which is a show I loved when I was coming up.
Oh, me too. I watched it all the time. Yeah, Marley was like,
so dumb. Why are all these people on the island together? These people are rich. Why are they on a boat with 6 other people? It's so stupid. Or she just thought it was so dumb.
Well, and she just thought like everyone, how they treated Gilligan was like unkind. Yeah. She saw a lot of disparities in the show, which is really funny. That's a really funny thing to see in all the shows that you make them watch. It's like their viewpoint of it.
We could do a game show version this summer. Be like, you're gonna watch
Price is Right.
Yeah, and like what was no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, stop.
I don't know what it was called.
I forget.
No whammies.
No. I forget. Someone's gonna say it. Lopez will know what I'm talking about. Yeah, we can do a game show version. All right, we good?
Yeah.
Cool. We're at an hour anyway. So listen, gang. If I have so many people that have been coming, I've been doing meetings with.
Press your luck.
Thank you, yeah. So many people that have been talking to their principals and their leadership about me coming and speaking at their school. Even if you think your school can't afford it, let's have the conversation, because this calendar is starting to fill up, and I want to make sure that I can get it. And there's no more excitement for me than meeting with people in real life that I've only known online before. And so I'm super stoked this weekend to be able to I will meet with Tracy and John Lopez. I've never met John Lopez.
I know.
You know, is he tall? Is he short? Like, what's it like? You know?
What you look like in 3D.
Yeah, you're in 3-dimensional figure all of a sudden. So I'm thrilled to be able to do that. So yes, that, and if you know anyone that lives even in the LA area or is a short distance from there, please let me know, and let's get them hooked up with tickets. There's going to be giveaways and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be rad. So with that, we will see you. I think we'll see you next week. I'll be in Los Angeles.
Are you going to do Sunday Night Teacher Talk?
I don't know if I can.
Impact day.
We'll let you know. I'll have an announcement out there, but we'll see you soon. That's it, gang. Peace.